He was the most feared pirate of his time, a legend whose name echoed from the Caribbean to the courts of Europe. Captain Henry Morgan, a man of brutal ambition and cunning strategy. But his greatest legacy isn't the cities he conquered or the fear he inspired. It's the mystery he left behind, a mountain of gold, silver, and jewels, plundered from the richest city in the New World, that vanished without a trace. This is the story of Captain Morgan's lost treasure, a tale of betrayal, curses, and one of history's most audacious heists. Our story begins in the 17th century, the golden age of piracy. The Spanish Empire, rich with the plunder of the Americas, controlled the seas. Their galleons, laden with treasure, were a tempting target for daring profiteers, and none were more daring than Henry Morgan. Operating with the tacit approval of the English crown, Morgan wasn't just a pirate, he was a commander, a tactician who led small armies against seemingly impenetrable Spanish strongholds. His reputation grew with every successful raid, but his ambition was aimed at the ultimate prize, Panama City, the cup of gold. Panama was the jewel of the Spanish Main. It was the Pacific gateway, where all the gold from Peru and silver from the mines of Potosi was gathered before being hauled across the isthmus to be shipped to Spain. It was said the city's churches were decorated with solid gold, and its merchants were wealthier than kings. Attacking it was considered suicide. The city was protected by formidable forts and a treacherous jungle that had swallowed entire expeditions. But for Henry Morgan, suicide was just another word for opportunity. In 1670, Morgan assembled the largest pirate fleet ever seen, over 30 ships and nearly 2,000 men, a veritable buccaneer army. His target was declared, Panama. The journey itself was an epic of survival. His men had to abandon their ships and trek through miles of dense, unforgiving jungle. They faced starvation, disease, and relentless attacks from Spanish ambushes. By the time they emerged from the jungle, they were a haggard, desperate force. Before them lay the plains leading to Panama City, and waiting for them was a Spanish army, outnumbering them and confident in their fortified position. What followed was the Battle of Mata-Asnolos. Against all odds, Morgan's strategic genius turned the tide. He used his sharpshooters to pick off the Spanish officers and provoke their cavalry into a disastrous charge over marshy ground. The disciplined buccaneers held their line, their volley fire devastating the Spanish ranks. The professional soldiers crumbled, and the pirates swarmed into the city. The sack of Panama City in January 1671 was an event of shocking brutality. For 28 days, Morgan's men plundered, burned, and looted. They stripped the cathedrals of their golden altars, emptied the warehouses of their silver bars, and tortured wealthy citizens to reveal their hidden fortunes. The city, once the pride of the Spanish Empire, was reduced to a smoldering ruin. The scale of the loot was staggering, beyond anything the pirates had ever imagined. Hundreds of mules were needed to haul the treasure back through the jungle to their ships on the Caribbean coast. But this is where the story takes its darkest turn. The triumphant journey back was filled with tension. The pirates, exhausted and laden with wealth, argued over the division of the spoils. When they finally reached the rendezvous point at Fort San Lorenzo, the mood was ugly. The men felt the distribution was unfair. The promised riches seemed to be dwindling. And then, it happened. Under the cover of night, Captain Henry Morgan, along with a few loyal captains and ships, quietly slipped their anchors and sailed away. When the rest of the pirate army awoke the next morning, they found themselves abandoned. Their leader, their general, was gone, and with him, the vast majority of the treasure. Accounts from the betrayed pirates, like Alexander Exquemelin, who was there, claim Morgan made off with the lion's share, leaving his men with a pittance, barely enough to cover their wounds. He had betrayed the very men who had bled for him, who had braved the jungle and faced Spanish cannons. The question that has haunted historians and treasure hunters for over 3 centuries is, where did it all go? Morgan sailed from Panama with a fortune estimated in today's money to be worth hundreds of millions, perhaps even billions, of dollars. He eventually resurfaced in Jamaica, but not with a fleet overflowing with gold. He was arrested and sent back to England to face charges for his illegal raid on Panama, as England and Spain had recently signed a peace treaty. But in a stunning twist of fate, Morgan never faced a pirate's noose. Instead, his daring raid was celebrated by the English public as a blow against their Spanish rivals. King Charles II, impressed by his audacity, knighted him. Sir Henry Morgan returned to Jamaica not as a prisoner, but as its lieutenant governor. He lived out his days as a wealthy and respected plantation owner, never once revealing what happened to the bulk of the Panama treasure. Did he use it to buy his freedom and title? It's possible, but the amount of wealth he reportedly took was far more than what would be needed for bribes. He became a rich man in Jamaica, but his visible wealth couldn't account for the entire Panama fortune. This is where history ends and legend begins. One of the most persistent theories is that Morgan, knowing he would be a wanted man, never took the treasure to Jamaica at all. The legend says that on his escape from San Lorenzo, he sailed to a remote, uninhabited island to bury his ill-gotten gains. The most famous location tied to the legend is Coco's Island, off the coast of Costa Rica, a place already associated with other legendary pirate treasures. For centuries, expeditions have scoured its dense jungles and hidden caves, but none have found a single Spanish coin from Morgan's raid. Another popular hiding spot is said to be somewhere along the coast of Haiti or within the intricate cave systems of Jamaica itself. Some tales claim Morgan, a master of deception, had the treasure buried right under the noses of the authorities in Port Royal, perhaps in secret cellars or tunnels that were later lost in the Great Earthquake of 1692, which sank much of the city. And then there are the curses. As with any great lost treasure, the stories are thick with supernatural warnings. It is said that Morgan executed the men who helped him bury the treasure to ensure its location died with them, and their ghosts now stand as eternal guardians. Fishermen and sailors have reported seeing ghostly apparitions and hearing spectral whispers on islands associated with the treasure, warning away anyone who gets too close. Is it just folklore, or is there a cursed truth to the legend? Perhaps the most cynical, and maybe most realistic, theory is that there is no single, massive treasure hoard. Morgan may have distributed some of it to his loyal inner circle. A portion could have been lost in a storm at sea. He could have gradually and secretly laundered the money over years, investing it in sugar plantations and other legitimate businesses, transforming his pirate gold into respectable wealth. The grand story of a single, buried chest, overflowing with jewels, might be just that, a story, exaggerated over time. Yet the legend endures. The image of a pirate captain betraying his crew and hiding a king's ransom on a deserted island is too powerful to dismiss. It taps into our deepest desires for adventure and discovery. The treasure of Captain Henry Morgan represents more than just gold and silver. It represents the ultimate pirate fantasy. So, what is the truth? Was Captain Henry Morgan a traitor who hid a fortune that still waits to be found? Was he a shrewd operator who cleverly integrated his wealth back into society? Or was the treasure itself just a grand pirate's tale, blown out of proportion over the centuries? Maybe the real treasure was the story itself. The audacious tale of a man who challenged an empire and walked away a night, leaving behind a mystery for the ages. The jungles remain silent, the oceans keep their secrets, and the ghost of Captain Morgan keeps his greatest prize hidden. And somewhere out there, perhaps under a forgotten patch of earth, a fortune beyond imagination is still waiting. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think happened to Morgan's treasure? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into history's mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more adventures. See you next time.